Rick Sanchez is hilarious, brilliant, and powerful. But beneath all of that lies one of the most traumatized characters in cartoon history. Behind the drinking, the adventures, and the sarcastic jokes is a deeply broken man, haunted by loss, regret, and self-hatred.
For once in my life, I want you to decide, Dad. Do you want me to stay here or do you want me to leave?
Today, we're unpacking Rick Sanchez's entire trauma, what caused it, how he copes with it, and what it reveals about real-life psychological wounds. But before we jump in, subscribe if you've ever watched Rick and suddenly realized he's not just funny, he's painfully human.
Come on, girls, the ice cream's gonna melt!
The core of Rick's trauma began with the devastating loss of his family. His wife Diane and daughter Beth were killed in cold blood. This event fractured Rick's reality, destroying not only his family, but his emotional stability.
If you were pulled home by whatever happened, it's likely our target was as well.
This trauma created a void in Rick's life, one he desperately tries to fill with distractions, adventures, and endless cynicism. Psychologically speaking, Rick shows classic symptoms of unresolved grief and post-traumatic stress disorder, including emotional numbness, isolation, and obsessive tendencies. But Rick teaches us something important here. Trauma left untreated doesn't fade, it grows. Running from your pain doesn't fix it, it just changes the way it haunts you. Rick's trauma didn't disappear, it evolved into destructive coping mechanisms. He hides behind alcohol, reckless behavior, and relentless humor. But these aren't solutions, they're symptoms of deeper emotional wounds. In psychology, Rick's behaviors are textbook examples of avoidance coping. Instead of confronting his pain, Rick numbs himself, joking his way through life, and insists nothing matters, a philosophy known as nihilism. While nihilism may seem freeing, for Rick, it's simply another way of denying his pain. Rick's story isn't just about a fictional genius, it's a powerful lesson about trauma and avoidance. It shows us clearly that coping by running away only leads to more suffering.
Hey, Yoon, you got any more?
Rick, forgive me for doing this in notes. I'm not strong enough to do it in persons.
Rick's trauma doesn't stop at his initial loss. It extends deeply into his relationships. Because Rick has been hurt so profoundly, he actively pushes others away, terrified of experiencing loss again. In psychology, this behavior is called emotional distancing. Rick deliberately sabotages relationships to avoid future emotional pain. His toxic interactions with his family, his lovers, and even his friends serve as a barrier that he thinks protects him.
It's hard losing a friend.
You.
What?
He's not my friend.
But what Rick teaches us here is both heartbreaking and insightful. Pushing people away may feel safer, but it only ensures you'll always remain alone. Rick's trauma has isolated him, leaving him in a self-imposed emotional prison. At the core of Rick's trauma lies one overwhelming fear: vulnerability. Rick Sanchez is terrified of appearing weak, incapable, or dependent on anyone. For him, vulnerability equals danger.
Have fun when you scrunch down. Jerry, what the? Oh, shit.
In psychology, Rick shows textbook examples of counterdependence, the compulsive need to appear strong and independent. His arrogance, his intellect, and even his harsh humor all serve one goal: avoiding vulnerability at all costs. The life lesson Rick unintentionally teaches us here is crucial. Avoiding vulnerability doesn't eliminate pain, it deepens it. Real strength comes from the courage to face your feelings, not from hiding them behind a facade. The most painful part of Rick's trauma isn't just that he's deeply hurt, it's that he's painfully aware of it. Rick knows exactly how broken and toxic he's become, but he feels completely powerless to change. Psychologists describe this as learned helplessness. When someone believes they can't escape their pain, they stop trying altogether. Rick's intelligence makes him incredibly self-aware, But tragically, he believes healing is impossible. This keeps him trapped in a destructive cycle. But here lies an important lesson. No trauma is too deep to heal, and no person is too damaged to grow. Rick's hopelessness is his greatest enemy, and his story shows us why hope, even just a sliver of it, is so crucial. Rick Sanchez is more than just a cartoon character. He's a profound example of how trauma shapes us, but also how we can potentially overcome it.
Hunting him destroyed me, Morty.
Rick teaches us that avoiding our pain never truly works. It just prolongs our suffering. True healing comes from facing your emotions, letting yourself be vulnerable, and reconnecting with others. Trauma isn't something you erase, it's something you learn to carry. Rick Sanchez's story is messy, heartbreaking, but undeniably human. It's proof that even the smartest, most powerful people can break, and that trauma doesn't discriminate. But if Rick can slowly start opening himself up to healing, maybe there's hope for all of us.
There you go, kid. Sooner or later we all are. On this side of the curve.
And don't forget to subscribe if you think Rick probably needs at least one actual therapy session before turning himself into another vegetable.
Big reveal, I'm a pickle.